What's up guys, welcome to another LSRS LittleBigPlanet Team Pick review. We've got some more interesting levels this week for you to review. First off, we're going to look at Freeze It Off by Zimiak. It's a very wintry style level and it's got some nice little aesthetics. The aesthetics actually all gel together very nicely, they all meld together very well, and in this level we use a combination of the Pompinator and the Flaminator. So obviously the Pompinator is blowing out some air and sucking air, while the Flaminator sort of burns stuff to a crisp. So you kind of straight away at the beginning of the level you use them both, although throughout the rest of the level I feel like you probably use the Flaminator a lot more than use the Pompinator, and Pompinator does seem a bit underutilized. Actually both of them seems quite a bit underutilized, and I guess the whole aim of the level, I guess, is to collect the 60 bells that are hidden throughout. Some are very obvious, some are actually encased in ice, and some are hidden in the snowman, so you have to actually burn and melt everything to actually get enough bubbles. The whole level is actually generally quite short, which is a bit disappointing, and considering how nicely both the Flaminator and Pompinator have been used in the sections that they do actually appear in this level, it does seem a bit disappointing that there's not more instances where we get to use the Flaminator and the Pompinator, or just even the level being a bit longer. Overall, for what there is, actually, the bits that are in the level actually are very good, and actually I do feel like it's generally worth a team pick. It just seems to have sort of fallen short of kind of what you'd expect. You start off, you're going along, it's all going along very smoothly, very nice, and then just kind of ends. Next up we have Rusty Metal Chemical Environment by MajorMaximusLBP. This is just basically a follow-up to the original Rusty Metal level, so you've got recognizable obstacle groups, with like the jumps and the orbinator using some special patterns with the puzzling with the velociportals, and there's actually quite a nice little bit in here where it's got a unique light section. It's sort of like a timed power-up, and in case once you're in the light it gives you a power-up for a certain amount of time, and you can double jump within that. And they've also, once you progress through the level, which is actually quite long, or rather a good length, is there's the sections where you which is the same concept, which they explain it quite well, is that you can actually use double jump for that whole section continually, and it's so it's split between a single instance and area instance for this double jump is actually quite nice, and it's mixed them up throughout the level, so it's not just you only use it in one instances straight away at the beginning, and then only in certain areas at the second. They actually split up in between, they've got mixed up, which is very nice. The pacing is very good. The obstacles, as you can probably expect from MajorMaximusLBP, is actually pretty good. There's actually what I really liked about it as well is that there's the hidden collectibles, there's radiation signs, the different colors, and there's a good mix of them actually being properly hidden, where you might have to actually properly look at the screen to see where to go and get them, and there's some that are just obvious and they're very hard to miss. So it's a good way to show that there's actually hidden collectibles to get, while actually not making it too easy to get them. And obviously you can tell this whole series you can actually have continue on with the elevator still not reaching ground, so there could be more Rusty Metal levels coming. Next up we have Forest Karting by doomymood. This level I found was a bit, some ways, disappointing, I guess, because it's it's a very standard top-down racer level. There's 3 laps that you do, and the aesthetic is very simplistic. It does go very well. I mean, it is well polished in that respect. It's not like terrible aesthetic. It goes together very well. It's just very simple, and it's what you'd expect from a karting level. I guess one of the main differences is that normally in the karting level you'd have probably 2 buttons that you have to press. You have the accelerate button and the reverse button. This one, in Forest Karting, you only use your directional moving stick, which I guess makes it slightly easier in that respect, or maybe not, depends on how you might be used to driving in LBP. And obviously, as usual in these kind of levels, the player is much faster than the CPU. I'm not sure if there's a multiplayer element to it, hopefully there is, and there's sort of a more emphasis though in this race of actually collecting coins as you're running around or racing through the track than it is to actually come first. And basically the level will end whoever passes the finish line first, so it's not like there's a first, second and third thing going on. Whoever passes it first just ends the level right there. which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, to be honest. I can't quite decide. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you think that's a good or bad thing. But I'm probably a bit more swayed towards a bad thing because I just like to be able to finish. But overall, an okay level for team pick. And then next up we have the latest week's team picks. First up, we're going to start with Stuntman Back Home by XX53Luffy53X6, quite a long name. It is actually, quite a short race level. I mean, you can tell at the very end of the level once you complete it, it does a really nice thing where it just sort of pans through the whole level again. And when it does that, it does make it seem a lot shorter than it actually feels when you're actually playing through and actually running around. But what I found was really cool about this level was that there's multiple sort of special areas, as it were, where you have the upside down climbing ladder, then you have like these movement slowing down marshes, and these wall run elements, and it was very seamless going between each thing. The only thing I had some issues with on the rings, jumping off them. Sometimes I had some issues connecting to the running wall and at the right height, which was a bit of annoyance, but I guess that's just maybe me not doing so well. But overall it flows very, very well. Another disappointment is that the costume that obviously 53 Luffy wanted us to have didn't actually work. It just was a plain Sackboy it ended up. This is slightly sad, but oh well. Never mind. I mean, you can see our full playthrough in a stream that we had recently, which will link in the description below, so definitely check that out. But overall, the aesthetic is actually very nice and very fitting. It's got nice cohesive scenery and stuff. The only thing that stuck out to me were these metal poles, which I mean could have easily been transferred into vines, and some of the grabbing swings and stuff. There were like hook in the background, hook on swings that couldn't be used, which is a bit of a shame. And it's a weird way to implement a story at the very end, but very well worth team pick nonetheless. Next up we have Vermilia's Roots by TheBobZombie. This is actually a very, very, very old level. We played it and featured it in a video a long, long time ago. But it's got some very interesting but basic aesthetics, and it uses the grappling hook quite a lot throughout the level. It's got some interesting uses of the grappling hook, because there's actually some hidden areas, well, so not hidden areas where bubbles are hidden, where you kind of need your grappling hook to sort of destroy or pull down some obstacles to actually give you some bubbles. The bubbles are actually not very nicely placed, I think, in this whole level. That's one of my main disappointments about it, is that these bubbles they don't flow very well in the whole placement of them. They're just scattered around just for the sake of it, which is a bit disappointing, but still it's alright, because they've got some hidden hearts collectibles, which are actually very cleverly hidden throughout the level. You can sometimes, a lot of them, you can see them, but it's not quite initially apparent how you might get them. You might have to actually, what you thought was just scenery background that you might not be able to walk into, you can actually walk into to actually get to these hearts, which is actually quite nice. It was much longer than anticipated, this whole level. It had very interesting obstacles and combinations of the grappling hooks and velociporters, and I really like those rat characters in there, so it's quite interesting and nice. And I think what was really cool about it was the very end section is actually quite interesting in the way you have to actually see the credits before you got to the end screen, which is actually a very cool and nice addition. And then finally we have Chocolate Bear by Patrical73. This was probably my favourite level out of all of these in this week's Team Picks video, just because that bear was so cute. Every time it popped up, I just kept thinking, this bear is awesome. So that's sort of my takeaway from this level. It actually had some really interesting obstacles, like the oven section and the clock section was actually very good. Some of the obstacles seem a bit nonsensical just because of like the electrical bars and stuff that were electrocuting us. That seemed like it could have been worked into the aesthetic much better, maybe replacing with things like maybe chocolate jets or something like that, rather than having these electrical bars which kind of stood out. And there's like these caramel enemies. They were placed quite redundantly. It doesn't seem like there was any purpose to having them there, which is a bit of a shame. But going through the whole level, I really like that, instead of collecting bubbles, we have to pick up cupcakes. That was a very nice little addition. And that there was chocolate to collect. And what was really cool about the chocolates is that normally when you collect these chocolate bubbles, you see those bright 1000 points or whatever, and then your normal LBP bubble text. But this is actually done very differently. It's got worked in very nicely aesthetically, the 1000 points thing, which was very cool. Some of the scaling of the obstacles and stuff was sort of a little bit off-putting. Obviously, you've got a massive jar that is the equivalent to a fridge, the one half of a fridge, so slightly a bit off there, but overall I really like the aesthetic and the actual theme, usage of the theme with the obstacles and the actual aesthetic. It all gelled together generally relatively well, just one annoyance with those electric bars. But I hope you enjoyed these team picks. Let me know in the comments what you thought about them. Click that like button, and I hope you enjoyed this team pick review. Don't forget to stay tuned, click that bell button to be notified of more LBP and Dreams videos with LSTickrightstick.